This year has been the biggest, the best, and the most challenging year of my entire life. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but I feel like I've learned some valuable lessons, incredibly valuable lessons that will completely transform my business and my life over the coming 12 months. I wanted to be able to share them with you. I didn't want to do like a new year, new me sort of video, but the reality is the last 12 months have been really, really crazy for me and actually quite life-changing. And so I sat down, I wrote in my notepad as well, 2023, what have you taught me? And I wrote down everything that I feel like I've learned, and I kind of condensed it into these 3 points, these 3 lessons that I had to go through some stuff in order to learn it, but I genuinely believe that they are life-changing. And so if you want to build a property portfolio, if you want to start a property business, or even if you have goals that are like, you want to improve your health and fitness, you want to improve your relationship, I genuinely believe that these 3 universal lessons will be genuinely impactful over the next 12 months if you learn them and start implementing them. So let's jump right in. The first one is why bother? If you don't know why you are doing what you are doing, then you may as well stop to begin with. You need to understand your why, and you need to understand what your motivation is. I started my property journey about 4 years ago, and I started my journey with one goal. I had one goal in mind, and that was to achieve financial freedom. And I know it's kind of cringy and cliche and everybody talks about financial freedom, but the reality is that was my goal. I wanted to build a property portfolio that replaced my income for a number of different reasons, but ultimately it comes down to that one word, it's freedom. I wanted freedom to be able to travel wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I wanted the freedom to be able to do whatever I wanted during my week. I wanted to be able to serve my local church. I wanted to be there for my family. I wanted to be a present dad, able to have like no financial strain on me and my family. There's a whole bunch of reasons, but I wanted to have freedom in my life. And the reality is 4 years later, I have achieved a lot in property. I've flipped a bunch of houses. I've helped like countless numbers of people become financially free through property, and it's been a real privilege, a real blessing. I've run a training company and taught people to start sourcing companies and leave their 9-to-5s, and I feel like I've achieved quite a lot. But have I achieved that original goal? No. And that's just the harsh reality of it. That's actually just the truth. I want to create a level of transparency and openness on this YouTube channel. The reality is I haven't actually achieved that goal. And I actually think a lot of the time I didn't really want to say that, but the truth is I haven't achieved that. I have achieved a lot, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of experience in property and I do a lot of property stuff. I've been involved in over £30 million worth of property transactions. Like I know what I'm talking about, but have I achieved the goal that I set out with? No. And actually, interestingly, I do actually think, and I believe that your goals can change and your goals can be quite fluid as things change and as things pop up and as things come your way, you might want to change. Like I started a sourcing business and I thought, you know what? I want to focus on this. I want to scale this into a property company, and I want to be focused on a property business. So I focused on that, and that's fine. And I've achieved some amazing things through that company, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, for me, at the back of my mind, I always knew that my original goal was still the goal I wanted to achieve. That was my why. That was my motivation. Why? Because building a property company is fantastic, but my goal was to have a portfolio to create freedom, not to tie me down to anything, not to keep me suckered into, you know, more than 9-to-5, more like 7 till 11, running a business. Like that is the reality of running a business, especially in the early days. And I wanted to create freedom, and that's not something I created for myself. I created a huge amount of income. I created a business that was incredibly profitable, but did I create financial freedom? No. So I'm actually revisiting that goal. I'm starting again. I had a bit of a moment around September, October of this year where I thought, no, I actually need to achieve this goal. I want to do it. And thankfully, the last 4 years, with all the experience that I've had, I've kind of been able to compound everything that I've learned and everything that I know, my experience, to be able to achieve that goal. I'm probably going to achieve it by early next year. So I think it's really impressive. I'm really happy that I can do this, and I'm well on track. I'm almost there anyway. And so I think I'm going to be able to achieve this in the space of months as opposed to years and years. So that's one benefit. But I want to achieve the original goal because I want to fulfill the mission that I had at the beginning. I want to fulfill my why, which was to create financial freedom for me and for my family. And that's even something that a message and a goal and a driver for me that I've translated across all of my companies. You know, my sourcing companies now purely about bridging the gap to financial freedom. I want to help people create financial freedom for themselves and their families, because that's what I want. That's my goal. That's my motivator. And I want to be able to help other people do the same. So ultimately, I suppose the lesson that I want to tell you guys, and I know this is a roundabout way of saying it, but find out what your why is. Sit down and work out, what is your mission? What do you feel is your purpose behind what you're doing? And figure it out, write it down, and then just stick to it. Figure out what your why is, and your why will be your driving force, your motivator to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. The second lesson that I want to teach you is really just who cares? Actually, who cares? One of the biggest factors I've seen in my clients and the people that I've worked with over the past year that has been pretty much the number one hindrance of them achieving their goals is the comparison trap. Theodore Roosevelt says, comparison is the thief of joy. And even the Bible says, don't compare yourself to others. Just look at your own work and see if you have done anything to be proud of. Honestly, comparing yourself to other people is one of the worst things that you can do. And if you find yourself comparing yourself to people, just unfollow them. Just stop being friends with them, stop hanging out with them, or just train your brain to stop doing that, because by comparing yourself to other people, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I could go on about this forever, but the reality is that there's downsides to comparison. There's downsides of this. Comparison causes inaction, and inaction creates a lack of achievement. And so if you want to achieve your goal, then you need to act, you need to do, you need to achieve, you need to keep going, you need to press in, you need to take the next step. But if you are so busy comparing yourself to other people, you won't do anything at all. Comparison leads to inaction. The other thing that's a bit of a killer when it comes to comparison is, even when you do achieve a goal, it just doesn't feel as good. Like, the success that you have just will never feel as good, because you'll be thinking, great, I've achieved £1,000 a month on my rental portfolio. I've managed to drop 5 kilos of weight. I've managed to do this. I've managed to do that. But it's not as good as fill in the blank. If you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, then the goals that you do achieve will never even feel like you've achieved anything worthwhile, because you're too busy comparing yourself to other people. And there will always be people who are further ahead than you, who have done more than you, who have achieved more than you in a shorter time frame, on a tighter budget, or whatever. There are always going to be people who have achieved a lot in life, and the people around you will be people who have achieved stuff. And if you are constantly comparing yourself to them, then when you do win, it won't feel like a win. And so don't, butcher yourself. Don't sabotage your own journey by comparing yourself to other people. And the last thing as to why comparing yourself is just completely not worth doing is because it detracts from your mission. If you have a mission, if you have a goal, whatever that is, when you said, this is my why, this is my mission, this is my goal, if you are too focused on comparing yourself to other people, it will just detract from the mission that you want to achieve. Nobody else is doing what you're doing. No one else is going on your journey and has your background and wants to achieve the goals you want to achieve. You are so niche and specific to you that you can't compare yourself to other people, because they're not doing what you're doing, or they're not coming from where you're coming from. There's so many different factors to it. If you're able to remove comparison from your life, there is incredible upside. The first one is obviously that there's less time focused on other people, and so there's more time focused on getting stuff done. You're not just sat there scrolling on Instagram, looking on YouTube, watching people doing things and achieving things that you kind of wish you were achieving, but also you just feel like crap because you haven't achieved it. Rather than doing that, you're actually out there doing it and achieving the goals you want to achieve. And the other upside to removing and eradicating comparison from your life is that there is limitless upside. Okay, there is genuinely limitless upside. I was speaking to somebody the other day who was telling me that their friend started a sourcing company. It was actually out in America that he did this, and it's called wholesaling out there. It's similar to property sourcing, but he started his business, didn't really know what was expected or what was normal for what you could achieve, and he managed to source 100 properties in his first year. 100 properties in his first year, and made about £4,000 or £5,000 each time. So he managed to do an incredible amount. And then when they sat down with a friend of theirs and started talking about business, how's things going? Yeah, we managed to source about 100 properties in the last year. This person was like, "You managed what?" And it was just absolutely gobsmacked. And this guy was like, "Yeah, is that not what Is that not normal? Is that not what you're supposed to do? And so what I'm trying to say is, if you are too busy focused on what other people are doing, you actually set limitations based on what other people are achieving. If you see someone over here and you're flipping properties, and you see someone over here flipping properties and they do 2 a year, and you think, wow, I'd love to be able to do 2 a year. You've created a ceiling for yourself completely unnecessarily. Whereas actually, if you don't have a ceiling, if you don't have anything to compare yourself to, you just keep going and you just go after your goal and you go after your mission and you chase down that why that you have, you can achieve so much, and the potential is genuinely limitless. The last lesson that I want to teach you is just say no. This is one of the biggest, in fact, this is the biggest killer. Genuinely, distraction is the biggest killer of growth that I have seen in my own life and in other people's lives around me. Distraction doesn't even have to look like a bad thing either. Like, I could sit here and say, oh, if you go home after a work day and you spend all evening and all weekend scrolling through TikTok or playing on your PlayStation, that's really not helpful. You know, that is a distraction. You'd probably sit down and say, yeah, I know that, Jack. I kind of actually know that already. But distraction, and one of the things I've learned this year is distraction can look like a good opportunity. Like, distraction can genuinely look like a positive thing for you to chase. For example, I started a training company this year. January of 2023, I decided I want to teach people and train people how to start and scale a sourcing company. And so I started running training events, and we were doing a training event once a month, and I started taking on little cohorts of coaching clients, and we were selling these tickets for training days for about £300, and then I was selling coaching as well as an optional extra if people wanted to for £5,000, and there's no hard sales or anything like that, but we sold pretty well. We got really good numbers, and we made a heck of a lot of money compared to what most people would be used to. But for me, when I reviewed it, I sat down and thought, what do I want to achieve? And it comes back to that original point that I made, is what is your why? What was my why? What do I actually want to achieve over the next few years? And that particular business, that strand of what I was doing, the training, it didn't actually fit with what I wanted to achieve. And it was profitable and it made money, and we made thousands, tens of thousands of pounds doing this, hundreds of thousands of pounds actually doing this business, but it wasn't contributing to the goal that I wanted to achieve. And like I said, September, October time came, and I had a bit of an epiphany of what I want to achieve in life and what is my why, and what are the goals that I actually want to achieve over the next year, 2, 3 years? And it didn't fit in that. And so I actually had to say no. I stopped. People were coming to me saying, I want to join your coaching program. You know, I've got $5,000. People were telling me, I want to come to your training day. And I literally get people messaging me all the time saying they want training, they want coaching, they want support, and they're willing to pay for it. And I say no to those people. The reality is, people get distracted by money. And that is true. And I saw it with coaching clients as well. This was a lesson that I used to teach people. If you want to be the person who sources buy-to-lets in the Northeast, right? And you wanted to be the person who sources buy-to-lets that 9% yield or more. That was your niche, that was your goal. But then someone comes to you and says, oh, hey, I've got £3,000 sourcing fee, I can pay you. I want to find a HMO in Birmingham. That doesn't fit with your goal. It doesn't fit with your business. It doesn't align with what you want to do as a company. But because someone's there flashing £3,000 at you, you go, oh yeah, no, that's fine, I'll do that. And it suddenly takes away from what you wanted to do in the first place. And you end up being steered by people who have money, and you end up just doing what other people want you to do because there's money involved. And actually, distraction can look like a good opportunity. And this is probably one of the hardest lessons I learned this year. Just because something makes money, and just because something is profitable, and just because something has potential, doesn't mean you should still do it. Because what it comes down to is that you have to take a step back. You have to think about what you want to achieve. You have to decide what your goals are. You have to decide what your why is, what your motivation is. You have to eliminate the comparison trap. You need to eliminate the opportunity to compare yourself to other people. You need to say no to distractions, no to other opportunities, and you need to just be tunnel visioned on what you want to achieve. 2024 can actually be the biggest year for you yet. It's going to be my biggest year. I know that for a fact. I'm going to have so many exciting videos coming out soon because we are on the cusp of some incredible projects. Because over the past few months, I've managed to remove distraction. I've managed to remove comparison. I've managed to stay focused on my goal, focused on my mission, and I've been able to achieve so much more than I thought was possible in an incredibly short amount of time. And I know that you can too. Sit down, work out what you want to achieve in 2024, write it down, put the blinkers on, and just go for it. And don't let other people get in your way. Don't let distraction get in the way, because I know genuinely that 2024 can be your biggest year yet. I hope this video has been helpful. Now, if you want to get started in property, I've created a free course, completely free, online, as one of the ways in which I want to give back to my community. I think I've had a big review on my YouTube channel, and one of the things that I want to do in 2024 is just add value. I just want to add as much value as possible. I want to just create as much of a feeling of community and support as possible. And so as part of that, my first step to doing that is creating a free online course that you can get access to, that is called the Property Foundations course. We're going to go through property finance fundamentals, property accounts and tax fundamentals, and just property fundamentals that you need to be aware of, lessons that I feel you need to be aware of when you want to get started in property and take those first steps into building a property portfolio. So if you want to get access to that, links in the description. Help yourself completely for free on me. Please make the most of it, and I hope it's really helpful for you. Make sure you click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.